best crypto asset. Well, Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Okay. What's the second best? There's no second best. There's no second best crypto asset. There's a crypto asset. It's called Bitcoin, right? Right? There's no second best. Okay? It's not like Google and Facebook. It's not like Apple and Amazon. Yeah, we can debate Apple or Amazon. What's better? They both look like tech monopolies to me. They both look pretty good. On the other end, Bitcoin or no. Bitcoin. Bitcoin's a crypto asset. This entire idea of like 60% dominance is bullshit, ridiculous, stupid, right? Like, it's stupid. It's not 60% dominant. It's like 96% or 95% dominant, right? And you compare it as a crypto asset to a like kind of proof of work crypto network, right?
I know that you can feel the pulse, and it's crypto's what you want. Look, faster having 6 to 12 months, can you imagine? That's just a sign of our passion to have PulseBitcoin be the attraction to switch to crypto. Cause you all know the Pulse got your back from the get-go. One-to-one versions of the coin you need. PulseBitcoin runs that deep. You can feel the pulse. You can feel the pulse. I know that you can feel the pulse. 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 I know that you can feel the pulse. And it's crypto's what you want. I know it seems scary, and you've been so wary. And Bitcoin ain't cheap, but let the pulse speak. Gotta thank Gunther for the opportunity to bring you this pulse in your time of need. You can feel the pulse. You can feel the pulse. I know that.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pulse Bitcoin Live. It's good to see you all. We've made it today live. Bit of a quiet night tonight. Bit of a random day for a stream, not like our normal Saturday show, but we thank you for turning up. I've got to catch a flight very early tomorrow, so we're kind of making do with is it Wednesday night tonight? No, Thursday night. I'm joined by Pepe. How you doing, Pepe?
Fantastic. Glad to be here.
So if you're new, Pepe is one of our volunteer community leaders. He's always in, as much as he can, he's in the Telegram chat. And you can pop in there anytime. You should see the link down below. And that's usually the best place to kind of drop in if you're new and wanting to learn about Pulse Bitcoin or ASIC or even Pulse Doge. There's a good few thousand members in there, which means we have a really active community. So you've got the voice chat at the top there. Don't be intimidated by that. You can click on join. Your microphone won't go live. You can just sit there and listen. And some people like to do that for the first few weeks. They just like to listen in, see the conversation going on in there, and just absorb a bit of information. You might be new to crypto. You might not be. You might have some experience with crypto. But Pulse Bitcoin is a DeFi crypto. So sometimes it can have a slightly higher learning curve. But the advantages of it are tremendous over traditional crypto. So, Pepe, today you selected the subject, and I thought it was great. We're going to talk about what is money and why we believe Pulse Bitcoin is a very, very hard, if not the hardest form of money.
Fantastic.
What would you say to that, sir?
I'm ready to go. So before I begin, I would like to shout out to some people. First of all, I had a rough day yesterday. I was in the hospital and got this little monitor on my heart. And I'm going to have another procedure, implanting a stent. And so I would like to make an appeal to one Richard Hart. Richard, press the button, my man. This is the shirt, the Pulse shirt that I was wearing the night of my heart attack. And I don't know how much longer I have. So, kind sir, press the button, please. Second of all, I want to thank the Pulse Bitcoin community. What a day we had in the chat. It was absolutely superb. We've got the greatest community going, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit more. And last but not least, I want to thank my lady who, when I got the bad news from the cardiologist, she said, you know what? We can beat this, and we're going to beat this together. And I've got unconditional support. So I'm smiling bright. I know the enemy that I've got, and I'm ready to go. So
it's good to hear, Pepe. We know you've had your health issues recently, and people ask a lot of you in this community, and it's really nice that you actually, despite all the things you're facing, you're still there on the front lines, fighting the good fight, and trying to get people to get some financial independence, because it's tough out there. Let's not lie about it. It's a really tough economy. Not many people see many options of way out without working their ass to the bitter grave. So I think we're just trying to kind of say to people that this is a great opportunity. Crypto in general is a great opportunity. We can see that over the last 12 years, and we've found ourselves in this corner of DeFi. And a lot of assets you can choose from. Almost too many. Most people get killed by choice, don't they? It's an overwhelming amount of choice of cryptos you can choose. But I think, certainly the reason I'm in here is because, first of all, of the code being a mutable code, and secondly, is the community.
Yeah, let's get into it a little bit. And I want to take a step back. I want to talk to all those that have either directly or indirectly experienced the horror of 4 banks that had a bank run a couple of weeks ago, where, the so-called risk-off asset, cash, people couldn't get their money out. And they quickly found out that it's not their money. It's actually currency. And there's a difference between currency and money. And today we're going to talk about why PulseBitcoin is the hardest form of money on this planet. It used to be Bitcoin. Bitcoin came out in 2009 because of the last crisis, the financial crisis, real estate. Now it's PulseBitcoin. And let me get into what currency is. Currency is what you get paid when you trade your time for it. You get paid in currency. And the folks that are in this asset are all hodlers, and they realize that you pay your bills in currency, and whatever you've got left, you inject that currency into a better form of money, which is PulseBitcoin. Now, there's all sorts of store of value that stands as money. You can take a look at money markets, bonds, real estate, commodities such as gold and silver, equities, the S&P, the NASDAQ. And each one of those does represent a better return than what you get on your currency. And last but not least is crypto as a major market. I mean, store of value money could be considered collecting art. You could consider collecting wine. You could consider collecting cigars, for that matter. But what you need to understand is that in order for a thing to have high value as a form of money, not currency, it has to be strong in 6 areas. 6 areas. First, it has to be scarce. Second, it has to be divisible. Third, it has to be fungible. Fourth, it has to be recognizable. People have to recognize it to go, oh yeah, that's worth $1. Then it has to be verifiable. Beautiful thing about crypto is it's all on a blockchain. And last but not least, it needs to be transportable. And the more of those 6 traits that your money has, the more it will be valued by the investor class. And so each one of the store of value, from risk off to risk on, risk off asset, the only one out there, is currency. Up until the point where there was a bank run. In fact, there was 4 of them. Over in your neck of the woods, it was Credit Suisse that went down. Yeah. There will be more. And why are there bank runs in the order of magnitude of $40 billion in one day in the case of Silicon Valley Bank? It's because people don't have to stand in line anymore. They can grab their cell phone and do a wire out transfer. And so it's going to happen again. And the question is, what is a better form of money than currency? And I would suggest that as you move from risk off to risk on, with crypto being the highest volatility risk on, there are some very good reasons why you want to consider crypto. The equity markets right now, if you take the NASDAQ in particular, the price earnings ratio, 35, 40, 50 to 1. A PE ratio that high can go down an awful lot. So the notion that that's risk-free ain't the case. So investors are going to take a look at that and go, my gosh, a 50 to 1 PE ratio, maybe I shouldn't put my money there. Maybe I should look for something in the 5 to 1 PE ratio area. You take a look at commodities. Well, what's gold done? Well, about 1% a year for the past 10 years. But unfortunately, inflation's higher than that. So you're losing money. We all know that the Fed is diluting you on your currency. Yeah. So that's not good. You can go into money market. There's 5.1 trillion right now in money markets. But unfortunately, it's only like 4.5% yield. You can get into real estate. It's not exactly transportable. It would be really tough for me to move my house to the UK. I couldn't do that, right? So it's got limitations. Plus, there's all kinds of property taxes. And there's always the risk of inflation in terms of a neighborhood could be built right across the street of newer homes and wipe out any price.
You see it all the time, don't you? Someone buys a new apartment on the beach.
Exactly.
And then what happens 5 years later? A taller building goes up in front. We see it all the time in London.
All right.
You see
so
someone has a business with a rooftop, and before you know it, it's surrounded by the buildings.
So then we come to the highest volatility asset class on the planet, crypto.
Yeah.
And as we take a look at the 25,000 tokens that are out there, we have to ask ourselves a question. Which one has been the best one? Well, heretofore, it's been Bitcoin. And Bitcoin does some really good things, but it was designed in 2009, coming out of the last real estate crisis. So what happens if a 2023 version of Bitcoin with 25 pages of improvements hit the scene? Would that be a better form of money? Because frankly, Bitcoin is the best form of money right now, up until when PulseBitcoin launched in November of last year. And there's 4 pillars of success that PulseBitcoin has. And this is the good stuff. Every one of those store of value asset classes that I mentioned is fraught with inflation. The dollar is inflating. I'm talking about in terms of supply. Gold, if gold spikes price-wise, what are the gold miners going to do? They're going to dig more gold. So that's going to lower the price. What happens if you had an issuance schedule that was independent of demand, that was programmatically and mathematically perfect and precise? And that's what Bitcoin had. It was a hard capped asset at 21 million tokens. There will never be 21 million in one. There will only be up to 21 million. And that was pretty good. It's hard capped. It doesn't inflate like everything else inflates. And someone will say, well, my stock doesn't inflate. The hell it doesn't. I own Tesla, and I can tell you for a fact, we just had a 3-to-1 stock split.
Yeah.
That means that I got diluted out. So
and you get no vote in that, do you, Pepe? You get no choice in that, really?
No, I don't. That's the board of directors.
Yeah.
So I have no say so. So my currency is being diluted because Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen are pressing the money printer, right? Interest rates are going up, which means real estate sucks as a store of value because now the house costs you more and you may not qualify for it. Bonds, the yield is still de minimis. It doesn't outstrip the rate of inflation. So that's a no-go. Gold is 1%. You can take value stocks on average for the past 10 years, 6%. You can take tech stocks in the S&P on average 15% for the past 10 years. And that's pretty good. But now we're at all-time high valuations, which means that money is going out of equities into safer assets, supposedly that are a hedge against inflation. But what if the hedge against inflation, the best one on the planet, turned out to be crypto, which is in the highest volatility asset class? What if Hexinfo, who is the designer, the founder, the dev founder of this asset, figured out a way to make volatility not your enemy, but your friend? He has figured out a way to turn volatility into the price that you pay for vitality. And it's a beautiful thing. There's 4 pillars of success. We have 21 million max supply, which is decreasing. Yes, there's an issuance schedule. We have halving events every 6 to 12 months.
Pepe, can we just compare? Let's just quickly talk about the difference there. So they both have 21 million. The old OG Bitcoin has 21 million. We also will eventually have a capped supply of 21 million. But our halvings are slightly different, aren't they?
Well, you say so. One of the areas that we just wipe Bitcoin out in is the 21 million supply. We actually are 21 million deflating. We'll never get the 21 million. We've got a buy and burn right now. We've got fees that will reduce the amount if the mining isn't done right. But let's take a look at what the hardest form of money is. Bitcoin has ASIC hardware miners. The best one right now is an S19 Ant miner. It costs about $3,500. It chokes poor Mother Nature out, consuming massive amounts of electricity. If you want to mine Bitcoin, you better have a data center. If you have a data center, smells to me like you've got an IT staff, like you've got a warehouse, you've got employees, you've got racks and racks, and you've got spare parts all over the place and a huge electric bill.
Not to mention government about to try and shut you down, potentially.
Licenses, regulations, you've got to pay overheads. What if you had a digital virtual miner in a form of an ASIC token and you were able to mint PulseBitcoin on your laptop at currently the rate of 7.5% per month, which turns out up until the first halving, it's 90% APY. So we can check the box on, we've got the better form of mining. We're green. We don't have any employees, licenses, none of that stuff. And then you take a look at the fact that we're 21 million decreasing over time. Bitcoin is 21 million hard capped. And it's true that there's never going to be 21 million of Bitcoin because some folks jumped overboard, lost their keys, and they threw an old computer out. But we could possibly have the same thing here. The difference is we don't keep our crypto on a centralized exchange. We believe in DeFi. So let me just tell you this. You are 12 or 24 words away from completely controlling your wealth. Middleman not needed. It's called a hardware wallet. It's called self-sovereignty of your wealth. It's called self-custodying of your wealth. In essence, it's called DeFi. Don't be a crypto primitive and not have a hardware wallet and do something stupid like keep your money on a centralized exchange or keep it in MetaMask. No. Get proper OPSEC posture. Take home message, don't be a crypto primitive. All right.
Yeah, take responsibility for your own future in a way, isn't it? And your own security, because as you said before, you mentioned when you were talking about the banks, you try, if there's a bank run and you try and get out more than $100,000, I'm not sure the limit in your country, but I believe it's around 80,000. You're only guaranteed up to a certain amount in each country. So when you have $1 million in the bank, doesn't mean you can actually withdraw that when you want to. So is it really your money? So coming over to crypto and then keeping your money in a centralized exchange, it's no better. You're doing exactly the same thing. So yeah, we had a crypto security expert who's well renowned in the DeFi community called Pepe. So if you are interested in, and it seems a bit overwhelming for you, having a ledger or a hardware device, which Pepe is talking about, really is essential. You shouldn't really be in crypto without one, because you're not doing it right. So if you are interested in hearing more about that, you can go into our Telegram, which is pinned below. Just click on the pin messages, and you'll see. I think he was in there for about 2 hours, wasn't he, Pepe, answering everyone's questions on security.
Sure was. So what happens is, if you want to play the crypto game, which high volatility, you have to have the proper OPSEC. Not only that, you have to be a special kind of person. And that special kind of person has to have an elevated level of self-responsibility, because you almost have to love yourself in order to hodl. Because the magic in crypto is to buy it at its inception and hold it for time. And over time, volatility is going to drive the price up. And so what I say is, the people that are successful in crypto universally are hodlers. And in order to be a hodler, the sort of person you need to be is someone who says, you know what, I'm not going to buy that $5 cup of Starbucks. I'm not going to go out and eat a $100 meal. I'm not going to buy that cheap Chinese plastic-made piece of junk consumer goods item. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut back, and I'm going to inject that currency into a better form of money. All right, so we went with a green ASIC. We then went with, we have a decreasing supply. Then here's the best part. Every 4 years, Bitcoin has a halving event, every 210,000 blocks. And that always ushers in the bull market. Well, it's going to be really interesting when we have a non-deterministic halving schedule, just as precise as Bitcoin's, only it's 4 to 8 times the speed of Bitcoin. So it seems as if the issuance schedule will be cut in half every 6 to 8 months or so. And if that's the case, then that should be a built-in pumpamental. And one of the points that we should talk about briefly is this notion of supply scarcity,
supply shock,
supply suffocation. How does that work with Bitcoin? Well, in Bitcoin's case, it happens every halving event. With PulseBitcoins, and that's every 4 years. With PulseBitcoins, it happens every 6 to 8 months. And then we also have something called PulseBitcoin Lock, which is a beautifully designed third-party protocol that locks up your tokens in an NFT and pays you yield. And guess what? That yield, you control it. It's self-custodying. And if you want yield in Bitcoin, you know what you have to do? You have to give up your keys. So we think those are the 4 core primary reasons why we're a better form of money than the best form of money heretofore that has ever been invented in the history of humanity. We do what they can't do. And so, it's really disruptive innovation. Our yield platform doesn't inflate. In fact, it deflates. And if you have a deflating platform, that disrupts all the other platforms that inflate with the underlying token. And so what happens? Oh, well, they inflate 3%. Some inflate 10% a year. That's a headwind. We don't have that headwind. So it really is a breakthrough in terms of yield.
There's another headwind as well, right? If I'm spending thousands of dollars a year to buy physical mining hardware, or host some sort of business, then I'm probably selling 95% of my crypto, right?
Right, to pay the bills.
Just to pay the bills, yeah. And the same way when you're paying inflation in the same token, you get the same sort of headwind. So, yeah, I mean, it really is revolutionary. I mean, you could even do it. You could talk at length just the same way about ASIC token. It's basically merging proof of work on a proof of stake technology, right?
Yeah. So, Sammy, get this. Here's where we're at right now. So this Pulse Bitcoin lock that I've mentioned, where you lock up your Pulse Bitcoin in an NFT.
Yeah.
Right now, 30% of the minted supply have been locked up. So we've minted about 8 million, 30% of which has been locked up on average for 3 years. Let me tell you something. That's supply suffocation. Then
let's break that down. Let's break that down for people. So we're in halving 0. So we're currently coming towards the end of the first Pulse Bitcoin halving. And in that first halving, which I think is looking like it's going to end in about mid-May, you're going to have 50% of all the Pulse Bitcoin ever to come into existence will have been minted at that point. And we're currently looking at, as Pepe says, 30%, which has voluntarily been locked up. And that is mostly people just trying to protect themselves from themselves. There's some security benefits. Cute cat. There's some security benefits from locking up your tokens. But one of the benefits we have with this Bitcoin being buildable, as Pepe says, you can lock it up in your own wallet. You can make it transferable, non-transferable. So it's in your own wallet. There's no third party here. And then at the moment, there's a third party dev that's giving you some free yield for it called Khan. So you can earn that every day, trustless. There's other devs building stuff where you can earn yield in other ways. So you can directly get yield on your Pulse Bitcoin, which you couldn't do with the original Bitcoin without giving your keys away. And as Pepe says on the supply thing, so think about that. We've got 50% of all the Pulse Bitcoin ever to be minted into existence, and you've got 30% of that already locked up. So when we come into this supply shock, aren't we, Pepe? Yeah. The supply shock.
And then with these halving events, we doubled down on this 3-year average lockup period. So what's going to happen at halving 0? 10.5 million Pulse Bitcoin will be in the world. Then halving 1, it's that 50% inflation rate gets cut in half. So we'll then be at 75% of all Pulse Bitcoin minted.
Yep.
Then the next halving 2, it'll be 87.5%. Let me just ask you a question. According to the law of supply and demand, if you have a group of hodlers, call them crazy if you want, but if you have that group of hodlers that are just holding on to Pulse Bitcoin because they don't want to sell cheap, because they know that in an inflating world, an asset that has a decreasing supply is very valuable. In fact, it's the hardest form of money that has ever been invented. 87.5% is going to be minted. If the hodlers scoop those tokens up and diamond hand them, what happens to the price?
Well, there's only one way it can go. It goes up. It's supply and demand. And now couple that with the growing user base. So as long as you're getting steady wallet growth, new people coming in, that's the demand side, right?
Yeah, and so we're growing. And look, most folks in crypto want to take a look at the price chart. Price chart. And I sit there and say, okay, look at the price charts. Some, want to take a look at TA and death crosses and golden crosses and holy crosses. And I say, none of that is predictive in terms of price. You want to know what's predictive in a Pulse Bitcoin community? It's one thing and one thing only. What are the largest wallet holders doing? Are they buying and holding? And if they are, then that's a great opportunity for a profit play. A fantastic.
Yes, that that brings me on to two kind of things. I'm not sure what you want to start with, but first of all, what does it take to make it in crypto, do you think?
Yeah, well, I think there's two main steps. The first main step is you have to have a portfolio management strategy, just like you do in legacy. And it starts out with you have to increase your education. In legacy, you have to understand how to read balance sheets and P&L statements and competitive analysis and strengths and weaknesses. You don't really have that stuff with crypto. What you do have is you really have 4 criteria, which I'll get into. So you have to do your education, and I'll provide you with that outline. Next, increased education leads to an increased conviction, because with 25,000 tokens, you gotta totally understand on a visceral level what that community, what that token is all about. And if you have an increased conviction, that leads to an increased allocation. You know what I love in crypto? There's so much volatility. I love it when some legacy investor comes to me and says, all right, let's go with 5% of my portfolio. And after a year or two, it's worth 55% of the fiat value of his portfolio. And that's what's possible in crypto. So, you increase your allocation, and then what happens next? Inevitably, it leads to financial freedom. So how do you choose the right crypto? We're here talking about PulseBitcoin, but we have some very good reasons why we chose PulseBitcoin. And it starts with this. It's the community. What is the community doing? Anyone that's been in crypto knows that rat, Mashinsky, with Celsius, 3 weeks after Terra Luna went belly up, he went on a stream and said, hey, Bitcoiners, send your Bitcoin to me and we'll hodl it for you. It's safer. Your Bitcoin is safe. We've got billions on a balance sheet, this, that, and the other thing. And I got thinking about that. And I was like, well, wait a minute. He's out there begging for Bitcoin. That means that he's got a revenue hole. If he's got a revenue hole, then that means that his firm is in trouble. If his firm is in trouble, it may get liquidated. And sure enough, 3 weeks after that, he filed bankruptcy. And everyone that gave up their coins to that rat Mashinsky lost. I mean, you may get pennies on a dollar. So what's the community doing? In crypto, everything's on chain. It is transparent. You can take a look at what the largest wallet holders are doing. Are they buying and are they holding, or are they dumping? And that leads to the next point. Don't hear what they say. Don't listen to them. Make up your own mind by observing their actions. And then that leads to the next point of, are you early or not? Some of the older assets that are out there, the guys that got in early have a much lower cost basis than you do if you tend to get in later. And that being the case, they can use you as exit liquidity. So, as my friend Wolverine likes to say, the point of maximum profitability in crypto is at the inception. Well, we're 5 months old right now, and you have an opportunity to score a bag of PulseBitcoin right around the launch price. So your cost basis is going to be on par with the earliest guys. That's a beautiful thing. And so timing is everything. Now, here's the thing about timing. If you get in early because you've built your conviction, you know what the community is doing, guess what? It's still the point of maximum risk, which is why you have to do your own research. Yep. Don't take Elon's word that Dogecoin, which inflates at 10,000 tokens a minute for every minute of every hour of every day of every week of every month of every year forever, is a good investment, because it's not. It's got an inflation problem, and we don't have that. But Dogecoin does. Oh, by the way, we've got a Pulse Dogecoin, which only has 2.6 million deflating. And so,
I mean, on that point, most people, as you say, there's two elements there, isn't there? Like, first of all, is the most people that make their money in crypto are the people that get in early and generally hold their coins through at least one cycle, right? But as you say that, there's no point in picking the wrong crypto and doing that, is there? You've got to pick the best tokenomics, the best community to park your money. Otherwise, you've only done half the fight there, haven't you? You see so many people that come into crypto and they put a little bit of money over there, a little bit of money over there. They get impatient. Their bag might go down 50%. They take their money out of what could have been a good investment. They go and throw it somewhere else. We call it pump chasing, don't we? And you're not really investing at that point. You're just gambling. And what you're doing is you're realizing losses every time you move.
Yeah, you should limit your portfolio to 6 digital assets, and here's why. The odds of digital asset number 7 beating one of your top 6 are pretty slim. And the odds of your 7th best idea being better than your best ideas never works out. So you need to limit your focus. But that is the point of maximum profitability. So in the case of Pulse Bitcoin, we launched in November. It's now the first part of April, and we're fresh, we're new, we're the harder form of money, we're the best form of money. But there's 2 more criteria. One is, well, who's the founder? My recommendation is never invest with anyone who is an NDF.
You mean non-developer founder? Is that what you mean?
Non-dev founder. And here's
why would you say that? Why would you say choose, if possible, a developer founder over a non-dev founder?
Well, what are his standards? If he's not writing the code, what does he believe in? What's his track record? You know, there's some exceptions out there. Richard Hart is one of them. Yeah. He has genius devs that everyone knows. And so RH kind of gets a pass because we know who his devs are. And just like we've got some stuff coming out and Corky is the dev on it, and I'm sure it's going to be fantastic stuff. But a dev founder takes pride of ownership. And the code's got to be immutable. There can't be admin keys. That gets back to the core tenets of DeFi. You don't want to get into a rug pull. And so you have to take a look at what the design elements are of the underlying digital assets. And so then you get to the last point, which is what I like to say: code determines the yield and community determines the ROI. Make no mistake, you could have the very best pumpamentals, but if the community is dumping it on your head, you're never going to make money. And so trust me when I say this, examine what the community is doing and you will avert a lot of mistakes. So those are the 4 key criteria for investing in the highest volatility asset class, where you can make volatility equal vitality. Volatility can be your friend. And that's what we have here in Pulse Bitcoin. In fact, we have a compounding. The way it works is you inject your ASIC into a 30-day interval of mining.
Let me show an image of this, an infographic. It just helps kind of just show how simple this is. There you go, Pepe.
All right. So.
Sorry, you can't see that. Sorry, let me present it. Can you see that? You can. You can see that? Yeah.
So this is a classic example of what I call a brilliant design element. And that brilliant design element is, you know what? You get paid max yield for a 30-day interval. And at the end of 30 days, right, you pull your ASIC out and you pull out the amount of Pulse Bitcoin, which is currently calculated at 7.5% per month. And guess what you do? You re-inject your ASIC for another 30-day interval. And then you take your Pulse Bitcoin and you lock it up into an NFT that pays you yield. And all of a sudden, you've got this vortex of compounding. And then next month, it's recompounding. And everyone in this ecosystem wakes up every month, knowing that next month they're going to make more money than they did the month before for a long time. And that's a beautiful thought.
And that's the thing. I mean, some people, they've come into this ecosystem and look, you can do all the hell you want. It's your money. Some people are coming in and they're actually selling it each month and they're living off this thing. I mean, the fact that you can do that is pretty impressive. But people are, right? If imagine you put I don't know, let's say 10K into this, and you're in 7.5% a month. Let's say you put in 50K, 100K. Some people can live off this. It's not what I would recommend. It's not what I recommend at all. I would much rather accumulate that Pulse Bitcoin, wait for it to the height of the bull market, and then maybe sell some. But I'll most probably keep a lot of it for the next bull run. That's really the smart way of doing it. I don't understand anyone that sells tokens. If it's an ecosystem you believe in, I don't really understand selling before the bull market's even kicked off. That doesn't really make sense to me. But I think those people that are doing that, they're kind of running out of powder. And when we go back to that supply shock issue again, anyone that's doing that, their selling power is going to be halved. I was showing someone on the chart the other day, and you see Pulse Bitcoin kind of go sideways for the last few months, and you get a green candle, a green daily candle, a red daily candle, green one, red, and I just said in a really simple way, after that first halving, just take out 50% of the power of all those red candles, and that's a really simplified way of looking at it, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it is, and I would just simply say this: Bitcoin was the hardest form of money on the planet until Pulse Bitcoin showed up. We've got green ASIC versus, one that chokes out poor Mother Nature. We've got halving events on steroids, 4 to 8x what Pulse Bitcoins is. We stand a very good chance of ushering in a lot of mini bull runs. We've got the supply suffocation that we talked about. Then we've got the situation where you can get yield on your tokens without giving up your keys. And last but not least, we have deflating supply. And so we have all the mathematical and programmatical precision of Bitcoin, only we have 25 pages of improvements. I urge you, if you're curious, go to PulseBitcoin.com and read the 25-page white paper. It is an eye-opener. If you're currently a Bitcoin investor right now, do yourself a favor. Consider mining your ASIC for Pulse Bitcoin from the elegance of your laptop. It's a beautiful setup. Or you can buy it directly. And Sammy's got the link to that.
Yeah, so I hope you can see my screen, Pepe. Unfortunately, my second screen was destroyed, so I'm kind of hoping you can see this. So we've got so this is the main website, and one thing we would say is make sure, be 100% certain the link's in the bottom there that you're typing in the exact correct spelling of this, and you're going to PulseBitcoin.com. Triple check the spelling. It's linked down there, and you've kind of got everything you need here. You can learn more about it, how to mine, how to get ASIC token, all that good stuff there. It's really detailed. And as life is good, one of our community leaders always says to everyone, read the white paper, print it out, take it to work, read it on the bus, make sure you fully understand it. I mean, it's a very basic concept, but there's some real kind of deep stuff that you can kind of get your head around and get into. And on that point, I just wanted to say another pro point against, choosing this Bitcoin, the new improved Bitcoin over the old one. I think it was Crypto Crew University. He was showing the bull runs, right? So he was measuring the bottom price of each cycle, the price of Bitcoin, against the higher price. And I think you can see that with Lloyd's chart here, right? You see this run up each time. And there's an equation you can do. And what you can see is he took a measurement from the bottom. Let's say we've bottomed out on Bitcoin, as most people think we have now. Let's say you've got the bottom there at 15K on the price of Bitcoin. With the current equation, looking back at all the previous cycles, it looks like it might not even reach 100K. So all these people kind of saying Bitcoin going to $1 million. Look, hey, it might happen. I'm just saying statistically, you are getting diminishing returns. You can see every bull run there, you've got less and less price run up as a percentile. So why not getting something new with far better security? It's like why would you buy the first crypto just because it's the first? This is an evolving tech-based industry.
I mean, that's a beautiful chart, but here's a better question. You go up to 100 people and you say, hey, you can buy this ledger, this spreadsheet that has a bunch of numbers on it, and it's valued at about $28,000 right now. Or you can buy a better version of that ledger with a bunch of numbers on it for less than $1. And it's better in every meaningful measurement possible, other than one. And frankly, that's the network effect. Bitcoin's been out there for 13, 14 years. We've been out here for 5 months. So here's what I would simply say. If you are an investor and you're curious, whether you're legacy or you're crypto, I invite you to read the white paper. I invite you to come into our Telegram chat and ask your questions, because you can either buy the $28,000 thing that may do a 5X, which is what? About 100 grand, 105 grand, whatever. Or you can buy the thing that's better, harder, for less than $1. What do you think is going to go up more? Easy answer.
Yeah.
And so our Telegram chat is full of like-minded investors that are diamond handing this thing, and we are going to just choke the supply down because we know it's deflating. We know that the bull market is coming and nothing's going to stop us. And oh, by the way, if and when RH presses that button, guess what? Happy days are here again, man. We get all of our tokens duplicated.
Yeah. So let's say, if you're not familiar with Richard Hart, he's basically, so we are Bitcoin on the Ethereum network. Richard Hart is in the next few months hopefully going to do a hard fork of the Ethereum network, and the advantage of that mainly is going to be the cheaper gas fees, because as we get into the next bull run and we see Ethereum start to go higher and higher, and it's going to cost more and more to transact. So it's great if you own some Ethereum, and I think a lot of ERC20s like our own are going to do very well. But yeah, he's going to give you you're going to get a free copy of all the ERC20s on that new network. And that's really exciting for us, really, because the amount of economic energy that is going to come, we expect, into Pulse Chain is going to be quite terrific. And if you're a solid community like our own, and well known in the Pulse Chain community, it's very likely that we're going to have very solid liquidity on that new PulseX DApp. So when you go on there, fresh investors who may have some of the L1 token, which would be called Pulse, which is just like Ethereum essentially. You use it for gas to transact on the system. A lot of people are going to have some Pulse or the DApp token, which is PulseX. They may have sacrificed for it 2 years ago. They're going to come on. They might not be hexagons. They might know not much about Richard Hart, but they've invested in this thing. Then they come onto this thing and they go, what do I recognize here? Oh, they've got Bitcoin. They've got Dogecoin. So we think that's going to be a really exciting pumpermental.
Yeah, we're going to have the native Bitcoin on hottest blockchain sometime later this year. We don't know exactly when, but RH, I've had a heart attack. I've had a TIA. Blackouts, brother. Help a brother out. Will you press the button, RH?
On that point, Pepe, I think I've been working a lot the last few days, so I do apologize. I'm a bit behind, but I did hear that there's been an announcement there will be another testnet for that. Is that correct? Testnet
V4. It's not going to take a month to sync or anything. It's got to be a fork because he wants to pay the validators more fees, and in order to do that, he had to fork it. And you couldn't change the tires of the bus going down the highway. You actually needed to do a hard fork. So that should be running in parallel with testnet v3. And so that should not delay things. But hey, we don't know when it's going to come out. And that brings up another interesting point. You know, you can't make money off of promise coins. But what you can do is take your time, energy, and effort and increase your education so that you have an increased conviction, so that you can make an increased allocation, so that you can get to financial freedom. I urge you to utilize either that framework or something similar. Doesn't have to be exactly that, but it should contain those components. And then use the criteria that we discussed, the community. You know, Hex has a great community. Pulse will have a great community. Guess what? Pulsedogecoin, ASIC, and PulseBitcoin has an elite subset of the Hexagon community. We do it better. We buy, we hodl, we lock, and we onboard. That's what we do. So if you're a like-minded individual that wants an honest to goodness shot at wealth creation, this is a winner.
Pepe, we got some questions here, but I just want to quickly, before we answer these questions, I just want to quickly show you. This is what I meant to bring up. I think this is awesome. Check this out. So this is showing you the Pulse Bitcoin, which is going to be available after each halving, which you can actually mine. And this shows you, this perfectly illustrates the supply shock. So in the first halving, that's, you see at the top there, that's going to be 50% of the supply. Second one there, we can just see it reduce each time. And then look what happens when you get to the number 8, which, let's say they're 6 weeks apart. That's, you're basically looking at perhaps, what, 4 years there, Pepe? Maybe less. You've got, what, 80+%? Would it be higher than that?
Much higher. It's 87.5% after 3 halvings.
Yeah, here we are. It should be on here. Yeah, so I mean, even after halving 5, you're already at 98%, right? Is that right? Yeah. So halving 5, you're at 98% of supply.
Look, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out if you have a group of diamond-handed community members and they're holding 80-90% of the supply. Bitcoin, just so you know, about 30% of their community hodls. The other 70% are traders, either toots, right, institutions, or they're just degen traders. You know, we're up a little over about 50% of hodlers. We already have 30% of our supply locked up in an NFT, and a bunch of folks don't need an NFT locked up in order to hodl. So we're very proud of our community. But if that sounds like you, if you're looking for transparency of what the largest wallets are doing, I invite you to take a look and come into our chat.
And just an example of, you know, of the advantage of this, just because you're buying and holding doesn't mean you can't earn yield. So, you know, if you choose to go down the ASIC miner route and you don't want to sell your Pulse Bitcoin, well, that's the fantastic thing, is people can build on this stuff. So right now, people are building constantly. I always can't keep up with the amount of building and ideas floating around. So yeah, you've got Khan. If you want to be paid for holding your Pulse Bitcoin, then that's already there. That's already in existence today. There's so much stuff coming up in the future to be excited about. Let me quick look here. I wanted to see if I'm missing anything. I want to quickly just show some stuff, Pepe. I think we'll probably close this one after an hour. I have got to get off on an early morning flight, but let me see if I can quickly show some of this stats, because I know people like some stats just before we leave. Let's have a look at the wallet growth and stuff like that. 1 second. It's been a while. Share screen. Here we are. Yeah, so earlier we did say if you want to buy Pulse Bitcoin, it will show you all how to do it on the website. But if you're familiar with Uniswap, you can go straight to Uniswap and it's right there. It's even got the logo there now, which is cool. And you can buy it directly with USDC or with ETH. I think there's even other pairs starting to be set up now, but you can buy it direct there. If you don't want to mess around with the mining, connect your wallet. MetaMask is usually the preferred one, and it's as easy as that. And let's say you buy it, you've got it in your wallet. You can go to PulseBitcoin lock.app, and you can lock it up from 1 day to I don't know what the max is. I think Pepe, one of our well-known holders, he's locked up some for what, 10,000 days?
10,000 days, I think, is the max.
And then you can you can make it transferable, which basically means you can send it between your wallets, or you can make it non-transferable. You can start earning stuff on that, so a yield on that if you want. You don't have to, by the way. Here we are. So this is Corky's site, another great dev in our community. And you can see from the start of the year, we are now up 25% since Pepe and I did our first stream on this channel. So you can see the community is growing nicely. We're over 6,000 now, almost at 6,100. So that's really cool. ASIC miners still on a nice steady climb. PLSD had a little bit of a sell-off because I think a lot of people are more into yield, especially in when you're in a bear market or at the start of a bull run. But yeah, well, this is interesting. Down here, you can see the ASIC miners. So this might not mean much to you if you're new, but this is more content for people that kind of are a little bit been mining for a few months. So you can see here from the inception, when the majority of miners ended, we had a lot of miners starting and stopping here. And you can see what's happening now. That's dissipating throughout the months. So whereas at the start we had every 30 days this big time where people would sell off some of their Pulse Bitcoin because, hey, I've got another 6 months to mine it or 5 months to mine it. I may as well. That you see that's kind of dying off now, and you're getting less it's getting dissipated throughout the month, which I think that's really encouraging. But there's so much good stuff on here. You can check that out, and of course we have Corky's other website here. And this gives an up-to-date halving estimate. So if you want to come in and check. So right now, I think it's been pushed back a few days, which is great for me because I think I get to sneak in another month. So I think I now get an extra month of 7.5%, which I'm happy about. And you can see here, 8.25 million out of the first 10.5 million. And you can see the PLSB minted, PLSB started per day. You get info on the supply, so you can see the supply increasing very gradually there. But what you'll see is over time, that growth is really going to slow down. Here we are. So you've got 27.7% of PLSB supply locked with an average of 3 years. That's pretty impressive, to be honest with you. Which is 1.87 million locked. And of course, we are deflationary in the sense that PLSB and ASIC is always being burnt. So you can get the stats there. And we have some third-party protocols, which will start to kind of gear up as people participate with those. And one of them already has quite a lot of burn function built into it. So you can see that ratcheted up, which also reduces the supply. ATMs, I'm sure people are aware of ATMs. That's just something where people early on bought NFTs from USD for exchange for they're essentially ASIC miners. So that's what that is there. I mean, anything else you want to cover, Pepe? I think we wanted to quickly just show the investment calculator, right? And,
I'm actually out of time. I need to go. But that compound annual growth rate calculator is a good thing. I've got an emergency I have to attend to.
No worries, Pepe.
Hey, I love everyone. Let's hodl. Let's make this thing happen. And I'm in the voice chat just about every day. Look forward to meeting you at the top.
Cheers, Pepe.
Ciao, ciao.
See you soon, buddy. Yeah, well, thank you for joining. It's been a bit of a quick one this week, a bit off the cuff. But yeah, if you've got that investment card, I'll try and cover that and a bit more of the stats next week. I know that was a bit more of a fireside chat with with Uncle Pepe. So yeah, tune in. I might do a stream on the weekend. Sorry, on Sunday possibly when I'm in Rome. I might have a little walk and talk. If my internet on my phone is good enough, that might be interesting. We'll see if any community members want to pop on there. But otherwise, I think the Monday Night Pulse, some of the guys, everyone here is a volunteer, and I think some of those guys are working quite hard at the moment. So we'll try and get that up and going as soon as we can again. But yeah, just keep participating, guys. Anyone's always welcome to come on here if they want to come on here and talk about anything. And I think, yeah, I'll try and come on Sunday. I'll let the community know. And if not, there'll definitely be a show back to normal scheduling next week. Yeah, let me cue this up, the exit video. I'm not sure what one we're going to play, actually. Let's have a look. What have we got here? Yeah, we'll play the True DeFi one. That's good. From our very own CR. All right, guys, that does us for this week. What else have I got here? Let's see if I've got any videos I haven't played yet. Yeah. Yeah, thanks. Life is good. Good to see you, Sean. Good to see everyone. Let's put this one on.
Newest build. $982 watts. Got these custom rigs being built at 240, 232 mega hash.
So 29 and change.
Got a lot more to go.
Yo.
See, as you can see, we're putting more together here. Here I am in 2018 setting up crypto mining facilities. I'm sure our clients make great profit if they held their coins. Fast forward a few years, Bitcoin mining is simply not profitable to continue. Over time, the difficulty increases. It's a huge waste of resources. Energy costs increase. It requires massive overhead with upkeep, and it's harmful to our environment. A much needed innovation has emerged, and it's called PulseBitcoin. It's faster, has a limited supply of 21 million coins, has better price appreciation, and it's DeFi compatible with Ethereum. It's proof of stake ASIC token mining that anyone can do from their phone or computer. The user can simply stake their ASIC tokens with just a few clicks of a mouse at PulseBitcoin.app. Stake your ASIC tokens for 30 days to yield PulseBitcoin. Unstake to claim your PLSB. You can then restake your ASIC to start another 30-day cycle. You can buy PulseBitcoin and ASIC using DeFi at CowSwap or your favorite DEX. Why is PulseBitcoin a true DeFi asset? Fair launch. Absolutely no special supply allocation. Supply begins at 0 and only becomes available 30 days after launch, if participants start mining day 1. It's 100% transparent, open source smart contract. It has a code security audit completed by Certic. No unfair distribution. All PulseBitcoin must be mined fairly, defined by the smart contract. No sacrifice phase or ICO. No venture capital or special insider funding taken or received. No purchase tax, sell tax, reflection fees, referral program, or hidden penalties. It is not meant to be a financial security in any capacity. You must have no expectations of monetary gain or profit from this crypto project. If you do, it is by your own work and effort. PulseBitcoin has the fastest growing community as it leads the industry in adoption and support, teaching new users about security and providing the fundamentals for being a successful investor. PulseBitcoin will be the DeFi project of 2023. Follow host Sean on TikTok and Twitter for updates.
I've just actually seen, Susan just popped in there. Let's see if she's there. Oh, hi, Susan. So we've got Smiling S. Smiling S. We've actually just, Susan, we've just kind of run towards the end of our time here. Pepe's had to rush off as well. Is there any chance we can try and catch up with you next week and have you in here? I've lost the audio there. Oh, we can't hear you. Susan, we'll have to catch you next week, hopefully. We've lost your audio as well. All right, well, we'll catch up with Smiling S next week. Thanks for joining anyway. We appreciate it. And, yeah, I got to catch a flight. So, yeah, see you all next week. Oh, maybe Sunday.
Less money at their disposal.
Life is hard, with rising inflation and a soaring cost of living. Bitcoin was a way to escape this, but now Bitcoin is dying. When Bitcoin started, you could use a laptop to mine it with just a few clicks. Now, Bitcoin has been hijacked by big money, making it impossible for the average user to make life-changing wealth. It's slow, it's outdated, and expensive. The world needs a better Bitcoin. The future is here, and the future is PulseBitcoin. Faster, more secure, non-polluting, and DeFi compatible. Old Bitcoin mining requires expensive mining rigs and costly energy bills, making it almost pointless. With PulseBitcoin, you can software mine by staking your ASIC tokens, utilizing proof-of-stake technology on the Ethereum network. It's so easy to participate. Simply buy the ASIC token on Uniswap, then go to PulseBitcoin.app and set them to mine for 30 days. You'll earn 7.5% of the token amount in PulseBitcoin every 30 days. Don't want to mine? Easy. Simply buy PulseBitcoin on the open market and hold it as a powerful store of value. You are so early. This ecosystem is packed with tokenomics designed to drive the price up. Pay your future self by participating in the most aggressive, price-appreciating ecosystem in existence. A decentralized, peer-to-peer Bitcoin, the way crypto was always meant to be. Go to PulseBitcoin.com. It's time for a better Bitcoin. It's time to make life-changing wealth.